What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Cinema Wave Podcast here at the Culture Wave Media Network, and we are back to discuss episode 3 of season 3 of House of the Dragon on HBO. I'm going to be one of your hosts. My name is Darian Scalmoni. I am joined by Sean Villa.
Hello, everybody.
And Vinny Albano.
Hello, hello.
We got Rhaenyra Triumphant. That's the name of this episode. It's a very Rhaenyra-heavy episode after the aftermath of her slaying of Otto and... Who's the other character?
Death of Chase?
Jasper?
What?
Who's the other character that they kill?
The Iron Rod. Yeah, Jasper.
Yes, Jasper.
Right.
And this is a very interesting episode of House of the Dragon because it focuses on kind of Rhaenyra now amidst her reign as queen and how does she deal with what that means for her. They do a lot of interesting things, I feel like cinematography-wise, editing-wise, that we haven't seen in Thrones before, where we're seeing this mental breakdown happen in real time with her character. And I thought it was a really unique episode and it was really well done. There were some moments where I was laughing at the expense of Rhaenyra because it's just so crazy with when you see all the chaos that she's not prepared for, obviously. So this was an episode that I really enjoyed. I know Mark, who wanted to come on this episode, but he couldn't make it. He said this is one of his favorite episodes of the season. So Sean, for you, how are you feeling about this episode coming off of it?
Yeah, I think what's so interesting about this episode is that as a book reader, Martin, when he's writing narratives, does POV chapters. That's how all of the Song of Ice and Fire books are structured. So you'll get, whereas like the TV show jumps around and you get like a scene with Jaime and then a scene with Tyrion and then a scene with Bran. The books are an extended amount of time with one character going through like sometimes a whole arc in like this very extended chapter. And this is the closest thing that I think we've ever had to that in a Thrones series. So that was really cool for me because this is a all Rhaenyra episode, more or less, disregarding the prologue, which I think is the first time ever in this show that it does a scene prior to the intro. And I think that's explicit because from there on out, we are with Rhaenyra at all times. And I think that's really effective at elevating the tension. We talked a lot about this during the Night of the Seven Kingdoms review when we were talking about how great that Trial of the Seven sequence is because we're with Dunk in that moment and we grounded with that character. Same kind of idea here. I think like really putting us in a character's shoes helps us immerse us in the sequence and in the stress and just how overwhelming that this inherited rule is that she's come into. I just thought it was really effective. It's really stressful. Fucking good ep.
Yeah, definitely. Vinny, I want your thoughts on also from a cinematography perspective, the way that they handled a lot of the sequences of Rhaenyra. How did you feel like they did?
Yeah, so this is to the same compliment. I wasn't on the first two episodes. However, something I liked about episode 1 and 2, but we have the same cinematographer here, Alejandro Martinez, from episode 2. The use of wacky, unique lenses, shallow depth of field. These lenses that I'm not entirely sure exactly what they shot on, if they shot on vintage lenses or if they shot on like a modified lens made for the show or if they just shot on a broken lens. But there's these moments where stress is quite literally moving, collapsing into Rhaenyra. And we get that really cool bokeh, blurry fall off at many moments when we're focused on Rhaenyra and only Rhaenyra. When she's in the chair, when she's noticing the rat. I also love the metaphor of the rats, but also just the idea that Aegon and the Hightowers, they weren't really doing a good job.
Right? No real upkeep at King's Landing happening.
It's because Aegon hung all the rat catchers.
Yes,
so
yeah.
They're all literally gone.
Yes.
Fun fact, I don't know if they're going to cover this in the next episode. Game of Thrones, the whole Red Keep is infested with cats. Arya's chasing cats around. That's why. It's because all the rat catchers were dead, and I think Rhaenyra is the one that introduces all the cats. So hopefully we get some cat action.
That would be fun.
Hell yeah. I would be so down for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the cinematography, Alejandro Martinez does a really good job with exactly what I explained here. Very subtle at moments, but also very keenly done. I also adore this episode for exactly what Sean said. The story structure, the perspective. This is entirely a Rhaenyra episode, and I love it. Absolutely adore it.
Yeah, but like a little bit of what you just talked about, like Rhaenyra inherits a very frustrating situation in King's Landing. There's a lot of things that she asks for, she wants at her disposal that is not available. She's looking for a treasure. It's all been given away by Tywin Lannister before the war.
Damn Lannisters.
Aegon is still gone. Again, he killed the rat catchers like you talked about, Sean. The High Septon refusing to publicly coronate Rhaenyra is another frustrating situation for her, on top of the fact that all these promises she made as soon as she became queen are now right at her footstep, whether it is one of the other bastard Lannisters that's inheriting a dragon that needs a home, whether it is, again, Corlys asking for her to publicly acknowledge his bastard children as his own and members of that family going forward. And she's in a lot of deep shit now. She's in a situation that, regardless of her being at the top of the power structure, there's all these little nuisances that, again, not knowing the book, but I could just see her just snapping. Like, I could just see it. And then we obviously get the big reveal at the end, which we'll get to, which now is already setting that path forward, I feel like, for next week.
Yeah. You know what? I just have to shout out, because I feel like I kind of forgot last week, how incredible Rhaenyra has been in this season so far, specifically the acting. Please remind me of her name.
Emma
I'm having
Darcy.
Such a brain fart. Thank you. Yeah, Emma Darcy. The last episode and this episode, I think specifically with the Jace death reaction, is some of the best acting I think I've seen in the Thrones universe.
Yeah.
I think they're just fucking murdering this role so far. In the same way that I felt like Aegon was really shining in the beginning of season 2, after like a kind of like, I'm not sure who this guy is at the end of season 1, and then he comes into his own in season 2. I feel like this is Rhaenyra's season.
Yeah.
Like, man, is she really like getting so much to do in these scenes? I think it's excellent. And yeah, I'm sorry. So what were you talking about?
Well,
What was the
just
question?
like the situation that she's inheriting now, just being in King's Landing, and how I said I feel like she's about to snap at any point. I know you don't, not, like, without giving away spoilers, like, do you feel like this is like the tea kettle boiling over at this point, especially where we get to at the end of the episode?
I just think it's a really smart writing decision, and I think it's smart structurally at this point in the season to do this. I mean, there was a lot of joking about this kind of being like the season 3 premiere, because episodes 1 and 2 felt like the wrap up for season 2.
Yeah.
And now this is Rhaenyra has taken the throne. I don't think this works as a premiere, so I think it's really intelligent the way that this episode is kind of done as a transitionary point from this grand victory into like, all right, you're queen, now what? Making it so difficult is like a good signal to the audience that the conflict is not over. Like, just because Aemond is in Harrenhal, that's not like the show now. It's like, we got to get Aemond. It's like, no, you're inheriting like a really bad position. No, everyone's starving, partially because of you. You're a kinslayer. Nobody really trusts you. All the nobles fucking hate you, and you've just actively made it worse by making an enemy of the nobles to please the people. But the people can't really stay pleased, and like, there's so much political intrigue, and like, ooh, that's Game of Thrones. That's like what fucking pulls people in. I mean, most people. A lot of people are like the dragons, you know, which is also respect, because sometimes I get the dragons also. But I think what's so great about this world is that like political intrigue and the scheming and trying to navigate all of these complex issues, because there's one thing about Game of Thrones: you cannot have this world be happy ever. The people will be mad, or the nobles will be mad, or your family wants to kill you, or your son is like a incest guy. You know, there's always something going on. And I think it's just really smart to have absolutely nothing go right after this huge victory. It's not at all what she expected. I think it's just a really smart decision.
Yeah. Talking a little bit about the end of the episode, obviously, we have the intro that you talked about, Sean, where now I'm having a brain fart.
Daemon?
Matt Smith.
Oh, Daemon.
Daemon is going to see Ormond Hightower
Yep.
to get him to bend the knee and to give up Daeron to bring back to King's Landing. And we get the reveal at the end of the episode that it is not Daeron, and which is crazy to think about, because Daemon was willing to just killed him right then and there in the beginning of the episode. To then get the reveal that it is not a Targaryen at all, and that Ormond is just completely not even respecting the crown on the onset. So, Vinny, like when we get that reveal, what were your thoughts? Did you feel like that? Was that a surprise? It was a surprise to me by the end of the episode. So was that a surprise to you? And where do you think they go for next week? Because next week also, by the way, which is crazy because, again, it just happens when you're covering the show week to week. It's the mid-season. And always in the mid-season of most HBO dramas, a big shoe drops. There's going to be something crazy is going to happen in next week's episode, most likely. So it's kind of on the lead up to maybe what we're going to see next week. So what did you think about the reveal of it not being Daeron?
I liked it. I was surprised. And a big complaint for season 2 for me was, why haven't we been shown Daeron? We're told about Daeron. We're told that she has another kid somewhere, and that kid has a dragon, a blue dragon, and we see it flying in the air, and we see it on the battlefield. Where the hell is he? And I think, honestly, this now has slightly improved season 2 in my... season 2 is still objectively, or not, I shouldn't say objectively, because, art is
It's got its flaws,
yeah,
for sure.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad in my eyes. But it definitely does take that criticism that I had for season 2, and it improves it, because now I know why they didn't show Daeron, because I actually did like this reveal. It was pretty surprising, right? But yeah, I don't have much else to say about it. I think Daemon is always a interesting figure of morality, because he gets shit done, but he's not nice, right? But that's why a lot of people love Daemon. That's why I love Daemon. He's probably my favorite character in the show. And he kind of was right the whole time. He was like, kill these motherfuckers.
Daemon,
right?
Daemon's the best part of the show for me.
Oh, yeah.
I love Matt Smith, so I am kind of already subjectively in line with a Matt Smith character. But George R.R. Martin has gone on record that Daemon's his favorite character in this time period. And I think Ryan Condal might feel the same way, because everything this guy does is so interesting. I like the twist, I guess, in this episode with Daemon, that he is not just trying to peacefully rule the world or rule the realm, that he has a much broader aspiration. And now upon settling into the power, he's kind of able to let his guard down and just tell Rhaenyra that the reason that I kind of wanted to get on the throne, and he had that whole arc of trying to subvert his brother and maybe claim it for himself, I think is because he sees his family as having a bigger destiny and being a world conquering god emperor family, which is very Daenerys, and I think that's great. I think it's a tie into Game of Thrones that doesn't feel oh, fuck, now I'm just thinking about the ending of Game of Thrones again. It feels like a kind of natural extension of the Targaryen madness that's been a running theme throughout all Thrones media. And I think it makes Daemon so interesting because it really explains a lot of his motivation. It's something a lot more specific than just I want power. It's he's got a genuine goal in mind. And I like it. That mentality explains a lot of his actions throughout the show, and I feel like that's not really expanded on in the book. And I like the answer that Condal's kind of providing with if you had an infinite nuclear bomb that you just fucking throw everywhere, nobody else had one, and then it was oh no, I don't have any food. It'd be well, then just fucking get some food. You got an infinite nuclear bomb. I think it just makes Daemon such a great character piece to have on the side of the good guys, quote unquote. Because he's someone that can just, like you said, get shit done and just be a realist that conflicts with characters in really great ways.
Yeah, I'm interested to see more dynamic between potentially him and... I'm really intrigued by Ormond. I think that the Hightowers, again, as a family in general, are very intriguing to me. I really liked Otto as a character. And they brought in an actor in James Norton that, he's a name and a face. It's more he's going to play a bigger role. I'm sure obviously from the story the kind of role that he plays, but I hope we get more kind of him versus Daemon. I think it's the battle of wits and the battle these two guys that have these very succinct ideas of what is right and what is wrong. And so I hope we see more of that. I'm sure we're going to, based on the way that this episode ends and the way that Rhaenyra feels about him. But we've just been given these little glimpses along the way.
I actually want to add to that too. Speaking of seeing more, and then piggybacking also off of your point, and just this whole point that we're talking about, Daemon, his aspirations, his whole speech about Essos, he says Yai-T, right?
True.
Which
Yee-T. Not to be that guy.
Sorry.
But,
Yee-T, thank you. Yee-T, and he talks about the city where men have wings. And I have not read all of the Song of Ice and Fire, the books, but I do know that the books are a lot more fantastical than Game of Thrones has ever touched. People with blue hair, and there's like another Aegon Targaryen in the books who like comes in and claims to be Aegon Targaryen, not Jon Snow. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the books are fucking Mr. Pirate. He's like trying to revive Cthulhu and shit.
Yeah.
Right? So the books are a lot more fantastical. I know there's a lot more locations. I know the East Asian city is this is a whole giant city that has never been explored in the TV show. And Daemon also says the city where men have wings. Like, are we going to see this? Because that would be really, really cool. I think that would be super, super cool.
That will be cool because I didn't know about that. Do you think that's something they could expand upon? By the way, I think we talked about this in the first episode or maybe when we covered it last week, but this with the awareness that we are only getting one more season after this. So we're getting this season and then season 4. Mm-hmm. Do you think that they could dive into that kind of stuff?
No, not in House of the Dragon, unfortunately. I think it's a very Westeros story. And Martin, as a writer, I like a lot what he's done with the world building, because the way that Game of Thrones is kind of like laid out physically on a world map is like Westeros is here, and then if you go in any direction, it gets fucking crazy immediately, which I think is really fun world building. But we never really go to those places. Like I think that
it reminds me of Star Wars, by the way.
Yeah,
it really
it is.
does.
It's a lot like Star Wars, where I think as far east as we ever go is just with Daenerys at like close to the midpoint of the story, where we're in like the Mediterranean, like East Asia kind of counterpart to the real world. The further east you go, it starts getting into like there's fucking golems and dinosaurs and shit, and then you go south and there's like blood mosquitoes and like all this cool shit. The world book's fucking awesome. But there is also like a hesitancy for me because I know they were trying to do an Arya show at some point that was kind of going to be like that, I think, where they were going to explore like the broader world. It's not fully mapped. And then if you actually like look into the world book, a lot of the broader Game of Thrones world stuff is shit that George R. R. Martin likes in other books that he just put in his world. Like I'm a big H.P. Lovecraft guy. There's a shit ton of just like straight up just like Lovecraft cities in there.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
Fucking King in Yellow, Carcosa is in fucking Game of Thrones. There's like all this like crazy weird like literature shit that's just kind of like peppered in that like I don't know if you could like explore that and then pretend that like, oh yeah, this is like the same world as where like, political intrigue is happening. It is awesome, but I feel like that's more of like a Aegon the Conqueror, Gendy Tartakovsky kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like maybe take it animated, go a little crazier with it.
And then see how the audience reacts.
Yeah, and then maybe I would love it personally. Like subjectively, I think it'd be fucking awesome. It's not gonna work in this.
Yeah,
show.
see, that's so interesting because that's the stuff. Not to go too much off track, but like Mark and I talk about that in the same way with Star Wars, where it's like there's so much room to do so many different kinds of things, and then they just won't challenge themselves as to fuck with the IP in a certain way.
Yeah, because
You know what I
Game of
mean?
Thrones is a very serious and gritty fucking like action political thriller, and then like if you introduce winged men flying or like monkeys flying and shit, then it's like what am I even
Night
watching?
of the Seven
anymore?
Kingdoms is a good way to, I think, soft walk people into something, but it does feel like it's in the Game of Thrones world, and we all talked about this when we covered it, but it does feel succinctly different, and I think it's great. I think it's really well
Well,
done.
I told you. I mean, I love the occult shit in Game of Thrones. Like, I think this Alice Rivers character in House of the Dragon, as much as I'm kind of like scared as to what she's going to do to the plot, I really like the like witch encounter thing that's happening in this story. That like blatantly she appears to be like some kind of like were tree reindeer monster creature.
Yeah.
Like sure, dude. Yeah, awesome. Fucking Stannis has contacting with the devil, and then this guy can come back to life. Like the little shit that's peppered
Yeah.
in Game of Thrones, where they do get fucking crazy with it, I think is awesome. You know, and then there's even more in the books, like Vinny said. So I like that they're mentioning these things. I
Yeah.
don't know if it's going to impact the plot.
Do you think we're going to check back in with Aemon next week? Or you think we wait maybe one more week?
So the ending of this episode, let's talk about, because that kind of answers my question, I think. Tumbleton is the town that they mentioned that gets attacked, is now under attack by the Hightowers, and they got to do something about it. Huge jump ahead from where we are in book timeline. Tumbleton's like a pretty important thing. Like a lot of shit happens around that. So we're jumping to that very quickly, I feel like, after Rhaenyra takes the throne. And admittedly, I'm a little all over the place with my timeline stuff, but I think that's going to affect the plot in a way that like I don't really know what's going to happen. It's the same kind of way with Daeron in this twist.
That's not in the book?
Not in the book.
Okay.
Brand new
I was
twist.
going to ask you that.
Yeah, thought that was awesome. I was like, oh shit, I didn't know that was going to fucking happen. That brings me to one critique of the episode, though, if you guys don't mind me going off on another little tangent. It's kind of broadly with the show at this point, and it's Allison. We were talking before the podcast. I love Olivia Cook. No shade on Olivia Cook.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck they're trying to do with this character.
Very
though.
weird.
I really
She seems directionless. Like there's, I don't know. Like
Yeah,
what are they doing with her
they
in general?
can't commit to the Alicent Rhaenyra buddy love each other story and do the plot of the book. And they're trying to do both, and it's leading to Alicent feeling like this weird phantom that's kind of haunting the show, and then comes in and just like does a little monologue and then disappears again. And she's such a great character, especially in season 1. I think she's like one of the best parts of the first season. And now I just feel like they don't know what she wants or like what her drive is, and it's flip-flopping because it's like she's held hostage. She was gonna give up her son, but then Rhaenyra kills her father, and she's like mad at Rhaenyra, but not mad enough to like maybe just lock in for like half a second and be like, yeah, that's totally my son. Because like, why would you want to endanger your other son? You know she's gonna kill him. Like, I just don't know what they're doing with her. It's very weird to me. It's like the one thing about this show that like, you know, I know that the normal book fan reaction is like, this is not like the original work. I don't like it. But like, I'm totally in line with what Condell's doing. Allison, I have no fucking clue what he's doing. And I think it's an issue, I think.
Vinny, you have anything on Allison?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just basically reiterating that point. I do feel that she is directionless. Even like last season, she was directionless. But then again, it made sense because she didn't really have much agency. But there's an opportunity now to give her agency again, right? She said to Rhaenyra, she's like, they didn't want, I don't know, right? She screams at her, I don't know. Like, stop asking me these questions. Like, I legitimately don't know. Like, they did not respect me. They did not respect who I was as a queen. They didn't want me in any of this business. So this could be an opportunity where maybe Rhaenyra or someone else to then give her agency again, give her authority or whatever it may be, right? As of right now, yeah, she's just whatever.
There's something we haven't talked about that I wanted to bring up because I just think of it from the actor perspective. We get introduced to a character very quickly in this episode named Sir Torrin Manderley, who's played by Dan Fogler, who I like as an actor, but like would have never pictured being in Game of Thrones just from the other things I've seen him in previously. Is he a character in the book that's significant? Is it, or you're not?
I'm really trying to remember. There's so many names in the book.
You know who I'm referring to?
Yeah, he's the guy at the dinner.
Yes, that she has a quick interaction with.
Yes.
He's kind of like, you're a great leader, basically. Is like
right. You know, I think it might kind of be like a what is her name? The White Worm situation, where she's like in the book, but like I didn't really remember her, and then when she shows up in the show, I'm like, oh right, her. She has a much bigger role in the show.
Yeah, they're expanding maybe.
He might be somewhere in there. Maybe he's important. It's not coming to mind right now.
Okay, interesting. Last thing I feel like we didn't really touch on a lot of was the whole interaction with Corlys and
Yeah, but-
Rhaenyra at the end. So I mean,
love
you're
Corlys.
a huge Corlys stan. So do you want
Yeah,
to talk
dude.
a little bit about what that means for the future of their relationship and this leadership now? Because he's her hand, correct?
Mhm.
If I'm not mistaken. So
Yep.
this is a big conflict. She already doesn't have a lot of people in her corner. She needs people to look to for guidance, and she doesn't give him the one thing he's looking for, and he completely snaps on her.
Yeah, this is another show original conflict that they're building here with the and I think it makes sense. I think writing wise, it was kind of like a smart decision. Rhaenyra does not want to name two guys as heirs, knowing that they're bastards, when this entire war is basically predicated on her trying to raise up bastard children. Smart. I like that decision to do that. I'm curious as to where that's going to go, because I believe in the books they're just like, nope, they're Valerians, and that's the end of that. Corlys, I think, just gets a real chance to shine here, because he's someone that's been so devoted to Rhaenyra, and that's what's made him so goated, is just he's always the man for the job. And now he's brought in these two bastard sons who are also both fucking awesome. I think they're great characters, Adam and Alan. And yeah, just to have him in this ball of stress finally just like have a moment to express to her that like, I've given you everything. I lost my wife, I lost my home, I lost my children. Like, it's all because of you. Like, you fucking owe me this. And like, to not be killed for it is justification enough that like, valid, you know? Like, he's the boy. He's the best hand ever. So I think it's great. I think it's ballsy. I've been seeing some people get mad about it on the fucking House of the Dragon Reddit, which I go on. I feel so embarrassed to admit that, but I do scroll the Reddit, dude. I like reading about the theories and shit. Yeah, people tweak out about Corlys saying that because they're like, oh, you know, his brother or his cousin, whoever that was, got like literally beheaded for saying the same thing. And I think that's the point, is that like Rhaenyra's not Daemon and she's trying, but she's not able to. She's failing.
There's a real conflict there. Vinny, anything on that point or anything else that you wanted to touch on that we haven't covered yet?
Honestly, not really. I don't. There's not. I think I'll say one thing. I think this episode, it reinforces why I love Rhaenyra as a character, because she is very flawed, but I like that she has the people in mind. You know, I like that what she does with the nobles, kind of, you know, showing them like, yo, the world has fucked me over, so I'm gonna like show you guys that y'all are messing these people up. I know what it's like. I mean, she doesn't really know what it's like to be like a peasant, but she has a lot more empathy than any other character, any other royal character in Game of Thrones, it seems.
Yeah.
So I like that, and I really love Rhaenyra's rage. I love her frustration. I just, this whole episode reinforces that. It's both directed and written by women. Sarah Hess wrote this episode with Claire Kilner being the director, and I think that was a smart choice, because I actually like, I don't think a man could write the perspective of Rhaenyra as well, you know. Not to sound weird. I feel like that's weird. That sounds like.
I get what you mean.
Yeah. Like, I feel like that sounds like weird criticism, but I think that was a smart choice to have this be a woman-written and directed episode.
Yeah, well, it led to one of the strongest episodes for Rhaenyra in the entirety of the series.
Yeah, I agree. And I think this is another situation where season 2 is strengthened by what happens in this episode. Season 2 of House of the Dragon makes the great differentiation of making Aegon an actual character, and making him have some good character traits. Book Aegon, and I think season 1 Aegon is basically just Joffrey light, diet Joffrey. Season 2, he comes in, and I remember that great scene that you just reminded me of, where he's in the throne room and the peasants are coming to him, and he's like, I'll give you 100 sheep. Like, because he just wants to please the people, and they love him for that. And now we have Rhaenyra in this same situation, that she's been given the throne, and it's a great juxtaposition where, like, the evil Aegon was like able to help all of these poor people, and Rhaenyra wants to so bad, but she's been robbed of that opportunity. I think like that's awesome.
Yeah.
That came together really, really well, and that's all show original. So that's what I'm saying. Like, as much as they differentiate from shit, and as much as like some of the changes bother me and are probably going to lead to some mini disasters down the line, great stuff is coming out of show originality.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's important to keep reiterating as the weeks go by. We're getting some awesome show original shit.
Yeah, definitely. No, I agree with you. Next week's episode is also directed by Claire Kilner, so she's maybe a little bit of a mainstay for this season.
Nice.
Written by David Hancock next week, though, so different writer. So curious to see what happens, but we are really digging this season of the show so far, so let us know in the comment section. What did you guys think about episode 3 of season 3 of House of the Dragon? We'd love to have a conversation with you guys in the comment section. We'll be posting reels. You guys can comment on those on social media as well. Please give this video a like and subscribe to us here at Culture Wave Media. We are also covering right now, week to week, X-Men 97. That is myself, Vinny, and Michael. Me, Sean, and Vinny just did our review of The Bear Season 5. That's up on the YouTube channel. We have movie reviews upcoming as well for things like The Odyssey and a bunch of other movies upcoming, so please check that out as well. And follow us on social media.
Vinny cut to me. Son of a bitch.
Follow us on social media if you guys don't already. It's in the description. It's underneath. Thank you for watching. Just signing off. I'm Darian Scalamoni.
Sean Villa.
And I'm a video about it.
See you guys next time.
This is the culture.